Good morning, students. Good afternoon. How are you today? So today we're going to start with our do now, and we have a great do now about resiliency. Let's change our color and make it something a little more green today. How about that? And I spelled resiliency wrong. Well, I actually mistyped a T for an L. Resiliency, the ability to bounce back from trials and tribulations. Our math objective will be to continue as we started yesterday with factoring linear expressions. Our essential question, what is the greatest common factor of the terms of an expression, and what operation am I using when I factor? We have our do now today. We have one page with some notes and 12 problems, and the all-important show your work to the teacher. We've got our exit ticket. And remember, if you don't finish anything in class, complete it for homework. And also, you should always review your lesson at the end of the day before you come in the next day. It's always a good idea to review your work. You could teach it to your mom or dad or someone at home. Important notes, you know this, have your camera on, increases your participation and helps you learn better. But you earn your credit by showing your work to the teacher. If your camera's not working, you can send me a photo. Keep the objective and essential question in mind as you work. This will help you learn. Remember, completing the do now and the exit in teams counts. It's part of your lesson assignment and your participation. Our math work is always completed on the paper notes. So let's get back to our lesson here. We'll get back to our exit ticket. Resiliency is the ability to bounce back from illness, from depression, from adversity. How can problem-solving skills help you to overcome obstacles and conflicts? All those skills that we've talked about all year. Seeing a problem from someone else's perspective, seeing the big picture, realizing that it's not the worst thing that happens in the world. You've learned a lot of problem-solving skills. How are those skills now going to help you be more resilient and overcome obstacles and resolve conflicts? And please write your answer right there. So let's get on to our lesson. Our topic is factoring expressions. And I need you to remember that these are expressions because they do not have an equal sign. If they had an equal sign, they would be in equations, If they had an inequality sign, they would be inequalities. But these don't have either, so these are expressions. So we started yesterday talking about this. This is an expression in its simplest form. When we factor out, we look for the greatest common factor and we separate it from the expression. We separate an expression back into a product. The product is what we get when we multiply. So we look at the 2 and the 8 and we say, what is the greatest number that both 2 and 8 can be divided by? And both 2 and 8 are divisible by 2, nothing bigger. So if we take 2, divide it by 2, we get 1, and that's the invisible 1 in front of this x. If we get 8 and we divide it by 2, we get 4. Now, you can check your factoring by using the distributive property and multiplying by the expression in parentheses. So 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 4 is positive 8. If this matches this, then you have factored correctly. So what are our steps? We're going to first find the greatest common factor of each term. Then we're going to divide each term by the greatest common factor and leave whatever's left over in parentheses. And we're going to check our work by distributing, which is what we did here. That was our check. So we're going to factor these expressions below. And if an expression cannot be factored, we're just going to write prime. That means it's a prime. Now, we can show division with fractions. So 7x plus 7, those are divisible by 7, which gives us 7 divided by 7 is just x. 7x divided by 7 is x. 7 divided by 7 is 1. And what we factored out was the 7. This part we factored out remains on the outside. In the second problem, we have a 4 and a 20, and those are both divisible by 4. So if we factor out the 4, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and all we have left is k, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. In number 3, we look for the greatest common factor of 5 and 15, and indeed 5 is a factor of 15. So we factor out 5. 5 divided by 5 is just 1, so we will just have m. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and notice that we're subtracting here. So we're dividing think of it as dividing negative 15 by a positive 5, which would equal a negative 3. In number 4, we have 6r minus 48s, and both 6 and 48 are divisible by 6. So we'll divide both by 6, and 6r divided by 6 leaves r. We have a minus sign. 48 divided by 6 is 8, and we have to put that s there. And that's our final answer. Number 5, we have 12w plus 24, and the greatest common factor between 12 and 24 is 12. So 12 divided by 12 is 1, so 1w, that's an invisible 1. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Now number 6, 2p minus 9. There's no number that 9 and 2 are divisible by. In fact, 2 is divisible by 1 or 2, so those are the factors of 2. The factors of 9 are 1, 3, and 9. So there are no common factors. So this expression, is prime. Okay, number 7, we have 4n minus 10. So 10 is not divisible by 4, but it is divisible by 2, as is 4. So 4 and 10 are divisible by 2, so we will factor out the 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2n. We have minus 10 divided by 2 is 5. On number 8, 10 and 45 are both divisible by 5. That's the largest number that can be divided into both of those. So we're going to pull out that 5, factor it out. 10 divided by 5 is 2, and that's with a variable of v. 45 divided by 5 is 9. That's our final answer. I hope you can try some of these on your own, see how you do without my help. Go ahead and do that. I'll have a little sip of my coffee while I wait for you. So pause the video and try them on your own. Okay, so we've got 6k plus 21, and 21 is not divisible by 6, but 21 and 6 are both divisible by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, so we'll pull that out, and we have our k plus 21 divided by 3 is 7. I think some of these are a little easier than the ones we did yesterday. It's a little Friday fun. Now 16 and 12, we've always had the smaller number on the left, but it doesn't have to be true. But remember, we've got variables here. We have an a and we have a b. So 16 and 12 are both divisible by 4. So we'll factor out 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and we have that a. minus, be careful, 12 divided by 4 is 3, and we have that b. Well, number 11, 8 and 15. Is there a number that each of those is divisible by? If you tried this on your own, you probably looked at your multiplication chart or thought it through in your head, and there is no number that we can divide both 15 and 8 by. Therefore, this is a prime expression. And then number 12, we have 24y minus 40. What is a number that both 40 and 24 are divisible by? They're both divisible by 2, by 4, and also by 8. So we always want the largest number, the greatest common factor. So when we factor out 8, 24y divided by 8 is 3y. We have minus, and 40 divided by 8 is 5. And that's our work for today, but let's go back to our exit ticket. How does knowing my multiplication facts help me with factoring? Well, it helps you because it makes it easier to know to find the greatest common factor. So knowing my multiplication facts makes it easier to find or determine the greatest common factor. Now, students, I noticed that the weather is getting nice and we're coming up on March, the last 4 months of school, March, April, May, and June. I don't want you to lose focus, okay? Don't let the nice weather kind of distract you. Use the nice weather to sit outside and do some of your reading or review your math work. Make the nice weather work for you, but don't let it distract you from your focus. It's been a crazy school year this year with the distance learning, and I really want you to just, stay focused, stay on top of this. If you've worked so hard this year, great for you. Let's take it all the way to the end of June because, as always, with practice, you'll be great.